Hi everyone.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having us. We are so excited to be here today on FACES. My name is Jen Bolton, and I'm the Director of Prevention and Education from Dove.
And I'm Millie. I am an intern at Dove from SIMMONS University.
So we're here to represent Dove today. We're going to talk about the services that we offer at Dove, some of the work we do in the schools. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can help a family member or a friend that might be experiencing abuse in a relationship, and then some of the upcoming events that we have. So again, really happy and honored to be here on your show today.
Yes.
So, many of you hopefully have heard of Dove before. We've been in Quincy for about just a little over 40 years. We started in 1978 as a small shelter, and since then have expanded to offer lots and lots of services to people all across Norfolk County. So we still operate a shelter 24/7. Our shelter is full all of the time, which is wonderful that people are accessing that service, but also can be troubling that there's not always enough shelter space available for people in the state. Out of that shelter, we have a hotline that we run where people can access support 24/7. It's a great resource for people that might not be ready to come in and talk to someone in person. And each family that comes into our shelter has their own advocate that works with them a little bit on safety planning, emotional support, understanding what brought them into the program, and helping them to work on goals moving forward. So many people think about Dove as just being a shelter, but like I said, we have a lot of other services that we've expanded over the past few years.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the shelter, just wanted to mention that, the shelter is all-inclusive. Doesn't matter how you identify. We usually get some misconceptions that we are only a women's shelter, which is not.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Millie, because we've really been trying to move away from that perception that people have that we're sometimes people say, oh, I know Dove, the Battered Women's Program, and we are really intentionally trying to move away from that. Although we do serve women, we are working to be more inclusive and letting folks know that anyone can come to us, of all genders, of all sexual orientations, anyone that's experiencing abuse in a relationship. And that's true of all of our services. So separate from our shelter, we also have a community service office. So we just moved to a new, really beautiful space where we're able to serve lots more folks. So out of that office, we offer individual counseling. So people can come in, they can sit one-on-one with an advocate, talk a little bit about what's been going on in their relationship, get some emotional support, some help making a safety plan. Maybe that person's looking to leave and they're looking to try to do that in a safe way. So yeah.
We also have a education and prevention team, which Jen is the director. And what we do is we go to different schools. We go to middle schools, we go to high schools. We also go to, hospitals and community events. We go to some colleges as well. And we have a curriculum, and each school has the opportunity to decide, which packet they want. And for example, for 8th graders, we do 3 presentations. For 7th graders, we do 2 presentations. And for 6th graders, we do 1 presentation. And we have a program also that helps students be more involved, more into a leadership role. And this is in high school, so we provide a training which allows them to present their knowledge to freshmen during health classes.
So every year we train somewhere around 200 students at the different high schools that we're involved in to be peer leaders. So like Millie said, we're in lots of schools across Norfolk County, but we've been at Quincy and North Quincy High School for over 10 years, and just in the last couple years have been doing some more work with middle school students, which has been really fun.
Yeah, it has. They're very engaged.
Yeah. So we talk a lot about unhealthy and healthy relationship dynamics, and really what our goal is to help students have some of that information at a young age, maybe before they start dating, so that they're not having to access our services later in life. So that's kind of our prevention goal.
Yeah. And I also want to share, I am a survivor of domestic violence myself, and I remember, during this tough time, I was so young. I was between the ages of 15 and 17, and I never had that, that support or someone to explain to me what an abusive or an unhealthy relationship is or was. So, that was something that I wish I knew, and I'm glad that this program exists. Sometimes, teenagers are getting information from classmates or, from other people, and I think, having a leadership team in high school that, can explain what an unhealthy relationship and what an abusive relationship is, and you're just targeting that younger community so that we can put an end, hopefully, to this statistic.
Yeah, giving students the language early on that this isn't just a bad relationship, or this isn't just something that's not going well, this is abuse or this is control.
Yeah.
And connecting them sometimes to some of the other services that we have at Dove. In the last year or two now, we have been able to offer children's services directly on site, and so we have a children's clinician that can meet with high school students. She meets with really, really young kids as well. Sometimes
we also have a children's library in there, which is awesome.
Yeah. So trying to make our space really child-friendly, really family-friendly, and instead of doing some counseling on site with the parent and then having to send the child elsewhere, we are now able to sort of do that all together in the same place, which has been really helpful to parents, and some really great things that our children's counselor is doing with kids. Some of the other services that we have at Dove include groups. Oftentimes people call and maybe they've done some individual counseling on their own, but want to meet other survivors, meet other people that have experienced the same thing. There's a lot of healing that can happen with just being in community with other people that have experienced some of those same dynamics. So we have groups that meet in the day, in the evening, and again, in the last year or two, we've started doing some really fun groups as well. And so having we had a Valentine's Day event, and each season try to have kind of a fun party. I think in the fall they did pumpkin painting, and so understanding again that people want to come together and build community around other things than just than abuse. So it's been really fun and exciting to see that as well. We also have our legal program, which is a really highly utilized program at Dove. We have 5 attorneys that can meet with people totally free of charge. I should say all of our services at Dove are free of charge. We don't go through insurance. There's no co-pays, and so that can be kind of another obstacle that's removed for people that are trying to access services. So we have attorneys that can go to court with you, that can help people get restraining orders, that help with all the other kind of paperwork that's needed when you're trying to maybe leave a relationship that's been abusive.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that. I wanted to also mention that part of that program, they offer a training for police officers to gain trust. You know, think about someone who might be experiencing, you know, a really rough time, and, you know, they call 911 and the police officer shows up. You know, it can be frightening, you know, it can be uncomfortable, and it's great that, you know, they get to have this training to gain trust within, I think, 30 seconds, 30 to 40 seconds of meeting, you know, the victim.
It's so important, and that really ties into the civilian domestic violence program that we have. For probably about the last 10 years or so, we've had a really great relationship with the Quincy Police Department, and over the past few years have continued to join partnerships with other police stations across the county. So now we have Dove staff that cover 8 different police stations across Norfolk County. And so if anybody in any of those 8 towns calls the police for a domestic violence incident, someone from Dove will call them back, check in, offer them support, make sure they know about Dove, give them a little information about a restraining order if they're interested, and then check in about the police response. And a lot of these communities have intentionally partnered with Dove to make sure that their communities are safer, and we've really enjoyed building some of those relationships.
Yeah.
So sometimes people want to know a little bit about how they can support a family member or a friend that might be experiencing abuse. This is unfortunately a very, very common issue. We see statistics that are about 1 out of 4 people will experience a relationship that's abusive, and so the chances that you might know someone that is experiencing abuse is very, very high.
Yeah.
And so we get lots of calls on the hotline, and when we go out and do presentations of people wanting to know, how can I get my friend or sister or whoever out of a relationship? And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. It's not quite that easy, but there are a lot of things that people can do to be supportive. Sometimes just the simplest things of saying, instead of "you should leave," "you should break up with this person," you know, "why do you stay?" Instead, just, "you don't deserve this. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Do you want to go and talk to somebody about this? I want you to be happy. I'm here to support you." Those kinds of things are much more effective than telling someone what to do.
Yeah. And think about the dangers and, you know, of telling someone to leave, and like how difficult that can be.
Yeah.
And some consequences, you know, unfortunate consequences based on statistics. You know, I believe that, you know, showing, especially the younger crowd, the reason why I'm stressing it so much is because I'm usually in the schools, part of my work. I'm mainly in schools, and, you know, based on the conversations that we have with the students and based on the feedback that we get, it can be hard to, you know, tell a teenager or someone who is younger, or leave the relationship, or, you know, just connecting them probably with, you know, a trusted adult, or with a staff from the school, a trusted teacher, favorite teacher. I believe that Quincy schools have a great support. Yeah.
And people really underestimate how difficult it can be to leave an abusive relationship. And I think outside of our work at Dove, we hear that all the time. If something's so bad, why don't you just leave? And like Millie said,
it's not easy.
It's not easy, and leaving can be actually really dangerous. And so that's a big part of the work that we do with people at Dove, is helping them, if they do want to leave, trying to find ways to do that safely, and really thinking about the kind of repercussions that might come from an abusive partner. And sometimes those are scary. Sometimes we're able to work with people and do that really successfully. So we're always trying to help people understand the many dynamics and obstacles that are at play when someone's trying to leave a relationship. It's not always something that can just happen overnight.
Yeah. And think about also, I don't know if you guys can see the hotline number on the screen, but think about, how some people may not necessarily be experiencing this, but maybe someone that they love or a family member, and it can be difficult to approach. And if anyone who is viewing this can call and just to find a way of how can I talk to this person that I love or this person that I care for, I think it can be helpful.
Yeah. We always want people to know that abuse is more than just physical. Sometimes folks call us and say, I'd like to come and speak to someone here, but there's never been any physical abuse, so I don't know if I can come to Dove. And we really want people to know that absolutely you can access services at Dove. Emotional and verbal abuse can be just as controlling, threatening, and scary as any kind of physical or sexual abuse. Lots of folks that we work with have unfortunately experienced some really, really traumatic verbal and physical, verbal and emotional abuse. And a lot of the work that we do is helping people to navigate that. So again, trying to help people understand that abuse is more than just physical.
Yeah, and also along those lines, part of the work that I do in the schools, it involves us teaching the younger crowd, now that we are in such a digital era, the dangers, how to be cautious with digital, and digital abuse exists, and how they can use social media, and how they can recognize what an abusive relationship is using a device, a phone or a computer. And that is something that the students get really engaged in that topic, because most of them have social media, most of them are involved texting, and I think it's really important to speak about this particular abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to let you know about a few other things that we have going on at Dove. If you're interested in learning more about domestic violence, in March, the week of March 23rd, we have a 10-session domestic violence training series. It's open to the public. We have, sometimes we have school, we have teachers, we have guidance counselors, we have nurses, security folks, police officers, clergy, all different other social service providers, people that just want to learn about the basics of domestic violence. There's 10 different sessions. You can come to all, you can pick which ones you're interested in, but all of that is available on our website, and we'd love to have you and get to talk a little bit more with you about that.
Yeah.
We also have a really exciting fundraiser coming up in May.
Yeah, so excited.
Yeah, so this is our Divas Dance for Dove event. So we have 2 big fundraisers every year, one in October and one in May. This is a really fun event on a Thursday night where you can come out with your friends. There's lots of dancing. Everyone gets really dressed up.
Yeah,
music, food, all of that. And so it's a really fun night to also raise money for Dove so that we can continue offering the services that we offer. Yeah. So we'd love to see you there, and our tickets are available. All that information is available on our website. And lastly, we just want you to know that we offer free workshops to the community. And so if you're listening to this and you have a group at your church, a group in your community, a book group, We sometimes go to Rotary groups, businesses, anywhere that you think might benefit from learning or understanding a little bit more about domestic violence. We'd love to come in and talk with you. We have lots of Dove material that we can bring and are happy to just kind of spread the word. So we really, really appreciate FACES having us here today.
Yes.
We love talking about Dove and the services that we have, and we're excited to maybe talk with some of you more.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, have a great night.
Good night.